Hi, Aries. Welcome to your February 2019 Astro Update. I'm Raina, and this is a month where there's going to be a bit of quiet because on the 18th, the sun goes into that 12th house. That is Pisces natural house, and because you start the astrological wheel, you have all these transits in the houses they're supposed to be in, or at least in the overall chart. So this is a very quiet place, contemplative, which is totally apart from your typical way of approaching life. So you might just find when you think back in your life that perhaps around this time every year you kind of go more into a private time, into your, I was going to say go into your shell, but it's almost like a cell, like a monk cell. And this is going to be the month before your solar return. When you emerge on March 20th in the Northern Hemisphere, the first day of the meteorological spring, meteorological spring is March 1st, but the vernal equinox. And that sense of renewal that is associated with your sign. Your sign is a sign of springtime. And I know that there are people in Australia, I can't explain why that is, but I mean, it's just, it doesn't matter who you are. You know that you have this kind of youthful and fresh approach to living that is especially true when you have your birthday. So you're kind of like the person that doesn't dread birthdays. You're all about having fun. But right now in February, you may, towards the end of the month, be a little bit more quiet. And until then, the sun is in your 11th house, and this is the house of friendships and groups. It can be a time of a lot of socializing with your buddies, and you may be networking if this is career-oriented, but you're definitely touching base with people. Mercury is also in this house, so you're communicating with them. This can also be online stuff happening. And so, like internet-based. On the 3rd, Venus goes into Capricorn, so that's a powerhouse for you, the 10th house of career. Until then, Venus is in the 9th house, which is the God house. It's also the house of foreign travel. So you may, and who knows, maybe this has to do with the internet, that you've met somebody from a different culture, from a different environment, and you're talking online to this person. And now Venus is blessing the area of your career. Venus in the 10th house can actually give a lot of assistance in allowing you to become more popular. People may want to help you, especially people who are in the position of authority to help you. And you may be enjoying a pay raise even. And then that's what I'm saying is when Venus goes into the 10th house on the 3rd. The very next day, there's a new moon in Aquarius. And so this is that 11th house. And a new moon in the 11th house can bring new groups coming into your life. Now, again, this might not just be all pleasure. This may have something to do with your career. If you're somebody who works, for instance, in a corporate environment or even like, what do they call them? Like a sales rep, or if you work for yourself and you're trying to get the word out about your products, you may rely on word of mouth and networking in order to do your job properly. And this can be very helpful for that. And this is a time where you can increase your associations. With the new moon here, you could be making new friendships, new networking opportunities. And on the 10th, Mercury which has been in this 11th house, now goes into that quiet 12th house. And this will get you kind of disengaging from the social scene a bit and being more serious, contemplative, dreamy. Maybe your mind starts to wander. Maybe you're not as linear in your thinking as you normally are. Maybe you're much more creative. Well, that can help in some cases. If you're an artist, obviously it gives you new ideas for work. But also if you are somebody who has a specific situation, like a product that you want to create, if you're an entrepreneur, this can help you with that as well. It just can make it so that you're not thinking rationally, you're thinking more creatively. And spiritually, you might be on point as well. On the 14th, on Valentine's Day, Mars moves from your first house to your second house of earned income. Now, Aries, you know that Mars is your ruler. And so when you have Mars in your sign and you're an Aries, you have to be careful about being too prone to being aggressive. So for the first half of the month, you still have that cocky Mars placement, and you may be kind of trying to promote yourself in some way, get in people's faces even, because you're trying to say, look at me, look at me. Again, this may be because you're trying to do something professionally, and you feel like you need to do that in order to get a foothold in whatever it is. Now, when Mars goes into Taurus in your second house, it's all about, it's all about the Benjamins. Oh, does that sound corny, right? All these years later for me to say that. But anyway, it's all about making that money and hustling and doing whatever it takes. Maybe you're working more than one job. It might just be temporary. Maybe the bills have come in from Christmas and you overspent. Very generous sign. And you like to spend money. And you don't mind having to work to earn it. You can be a hard worker, and you just are buckling down and doing this, and maybe you're working overtime. I don't know, but that's happening. Activity in that house of earned income. And then on the 18th, the sun goes into Pisces in that 12th house, joins Mercury there, and you may be spending the next month kind of keeping to yourself more, being less social than you have been. You're coming off of the holidays, coming off of this time when you've had these planets in the 11th house, and now you might be ready. You had a new moon in this house, in the 11th house, and you may have done what you wanted to do, especially if it was career related. You may have had a very specific goal in connecting to others that was practical as well. And now you've done that. And now you feel like it's time to kind of go into hibernation so that you can emerge during your solar return. And then we have the full moon in Virgo, which is the second supermoon in a row out of 3. And this is going to be at 0 degrees of Virgo in your 6th house of work. So this is a very practical full moon. Some of you may be tempted to start some kind of diet, because the 6th house can be diet that has to do with a very pure diet where whole foods based, maybe, I always associate Virgo with vegetarianism, so maybe a plant-based or vegan diet, a raw foods diet, something just purifying, a juice feast. And those are, for people that know that that's okay for their health, obviously. But the full moon can be a time of release. It can be a time of, maybe you say, I've got to take this out of my diet. It's a time of purification. And in some of these religious sects, they actually fast on these dates. And you may just be wanting to do something like that. Now, this could also be ending a job, or maybe you're not in the same workplace. You're working for the same company, but somewhere else. This could be possibly ending a certain schedule that you have. The 6th house is your daily schedule. Maybe that has to do with the new moon in Aquarius, in that house of technology, the 11th house. Maybe now you are working from home, telecommuting, and you don't have to go to a physical workplace, but you're still working for the same company. So this could be also connected to having that Mars in the 2nd house, that comes in on the 14th, where you're working towards something. There's some kind of an end game here. And at the time of the full moon, it kind of comes to a head, or a blossoming effect, where you are realizing a certain project has come to fruition. So in any case, Aries, I hope that you enjoyed this. And I hope that you have a wonderful February. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.